In our headlines on this Monday, December 15th, here in South Korea, a 6-month investigation by a special counsel team finds that the former Yoon Suk-yeol administration sought to spark a military confrontation with North Korea to create a pretext for martial law. Meanwhile, President Lee Jae-myung plays host to his Laos counterpart Thongloun Sisoulith earlier on this Monday and agrees to advance their bilateral ties into a comprehensive partnership. And on the trade front, exports of South Korea's information and communications technology products expand over 24% on year in November to post $25.4 billion, driven by demand for chips. We start with findings by the special counsel team following its 6-month probe into the former administration's martial law declaration on December 3rd last year. Our Park Gun-woo has our top story.
A team of around 240 investigators began probing the case last June, and after 6 months, the investigation has now come to an end. On Monday, Special Prosecutor Cho Eun-suk announced the findings of the probe into insurrection and treason charges, allegedly led by former President Yoon Suk-yeol. Cho said the investigation concluded that Yoon's declaration of martial law in December last year was aimed at eliminating political opponents and suppressing dissent, rather than the reasons Yoon cited during his martial law declaration, including repeated impeachments and budget cuts since the 2024 general election in April. Cho added that investigators identified circumstantial evidence showing Yoon and his associates had been preparing for the move well before the actual declaration.
Yoon and others had been preparing for the declaration of martial law since before October 2023. They planned to suspend political activities and the functions of the National Assembly through military force, establish an emergency legislative body to replace the Assembly, seize legislative and judicial authority, eliminate opposition forces, and monopolize power.
He added that December 3rd was chosen to minimize potential U.S. involvement, as it was close to the U.S. presidential election. The special prosecutor also revealed circumstances showing close coordination between the government and the military. He said the relocation of the presidential office to Yongsan in central Seoul, where the defense ministry is located, facilitated closer ties, leading to frequent meetings between Yoon and then Defense Minister Kim Yong-hyun over plans for martial law. Investigators also said the previous Defense Minister Shin Won-sik stepping down was linked to the issue, as Shin had opposed martial law. And he added that legal risks surrounding former First Lady Kim Gun-hee were an underlying factor, though it was not viewed as a primary motive. Efforts to provoke North Korea were also revealed as a pretext for declaring martial law.
We found that abnormal military operations were carried out from October 2024 to provoke North Korea and justify martial law. But the effort failed when Pyongyang did not respond. Yoon and others then used the political situation as a pretext and declared martial law late on December 3rd, despite having no legal grounds.
Over the 180-day investigation, the prosecution team indicted 27 people, including Yoon, and sent them to trial. With the probe now concluded, around 30 prosecutors, including Cho, will remain to handle trial proceedings, which are expected to take place in early January and oversee the prosecutions in court. Park Gun-woo, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, the police raid at Coupang is coming to a close, and authorities are soon expected to delve deeper into the cause and circumstances of the massive leak of personal data at the e-commerce platform. Our Kim Do-yeon has the latest.
The Seoul Metropolitan Police Agency says more than 60% of the materials needed for its investigation into the Coupang data breach have been secured. In a press briefing on Monday, Seoul Police Chief Park Jung-bo stated that the search-and-seizure operation, which has been ongoing for several days, is expected to be concluded by Tuesday at the latest. Chief Park explained that the process has taken longer than anticipated because investigators are selectively seizing relevant evidence from a vast amount of raw data to minimize business disruption. While there were initially some disagreements between the police and Coupang regarding the scope of the seizure on the first day, authorities say the company is now cooperating smoothly. Investigators plan to analyze the secure data to definitively trace the leakage pathway and identify any internal security failures. Police are also looking to secure the custody of the primary suspect, a Chinese national and former Coupang employee who is currently believed to be overseas. While the police investigation enters its final phase, the company's leadership is facing a backlash from the National Assembly after Coupang founder and chairman Kim Bum-seok officially declined a request to appear as a witness at the upcoming parliamentary hearing scheduled for December 17th. Kim submitted a statement of non-attendance citing unavoidable overseas business schedules and his residence outside of Korea. With the company's owner refusing to face lawmakers, criticism is mounting regarding Coupang's corporate accountability in the wake of one of the country's largest data breaches. Kim Do-yeon, Arirang News.
Staying in Seoul, President Lee Jae-myung played host to his Laos counterpart Thongloun Sisoulith earlier on this Monday, and the two leaders have agreed to advance their bilateral ties into a comprehensive partnership. Arirang's Yoon Jung-min covers this agreement and more.
Celebrating 30 years of restored diplomatic relations, South Korea and Laos have agreed to upgrade their ties to a comprehensive partnership. This as President Lee Jae-myung hosted Laotian President Thongloun Sisoulith at his office on Monday, having invited him for a two-day official visit.
풍부한 천연 자원을 보유하고 있는 라오스는 핵심 광물 공급망 구축을 위한 중요한 파트너 국가이기도 합니다.
Laos aims to transform itself as a regional hub for transportation and logistics, and President Lee expressed hopes to work together as a partner along the way, hoping for a mutually beneficial and future-oriented partnership that can actually benefit the people.
It is an opportunity to reaffirm the success that the two countries have achieved by cooperating in various fields over the past 30 years.
Since restoring relations in 1995 that were severed following the rise of communist governments in Southeast Asia in the 1970s, the trade volume between South Korea and Laos has grown 20-fold, on top of people-to-people exchanges, hitting a record high last year.
한국은 라오스 국 입장에서 보면 3대 개발 협력 파트너이고 5위의 투자 국가이며 또 라오스는 한 아세안, 한 메콩 협력의 매우 중요한 파트너 국가입니다.
Laos is still not able to graduate from the least developed country status. I ask for your support in this matter.
The focus was also on the two countries bolstering coordination to combat transnational crimes, such as online scams. Following the talks, the two sides signed law enforcement and extradition treaties and renewed an MOU related to the employment permit system. The summit concluded with a luncheon hosted by the South Korean first couple. Yoon Jung-min, Arirang News.
And President Lee Jae-myung has been featured in Time magazine's top 100 photos of the year 2025. According to the magazine's website, the selected image captures President Lee, who was then the Democratic Party's presidential candidate, preparing to address his supporters as he awaited the final poll results on June 4th. Earlier this past April, Time also included the president on its list of the top 100 most influential people of the year, describing him as the clear frontrunner in South Korea's snap presidential election. South Korea's exports of ICT products hit a new high in November, driven by demand for chips. Our Ian Jin covers the latest trade numbers.
Exports of South Korea's information and communications technology products jumped more than 20% year-on-year in November to post the highest monthly figure on record. According to data from the South Korean Ministry of Science and ICT on Sunday, ICT exports in November rose 24.3% from a year earlier to reach a record $25.4 billion. Following strong ICT export figures in September and October, this marks the 10th consecutive month of on-year growth. This performance was effectively driven by semiconductors, which accounted for about 68% of total ICT exports and recorded the highest ever performance for a single product category. Chip exports surged 38.6% on year. But mobile phone exports only grew 3.5%, computers and peripheral devices 1.9%, and telecommunications devices 3.3%, while exports of displays dropped by 3.7%. By region, ICT exports to China continued to rise, up 25.3%. Shipments to Vietnam were up 11.6%, those to the EU were up 18.1%, and ICT exports to the United States were up 7.9%. Semiconductor exports to the U.S. jumped 43.3% to $1.58 billion. Despite uncertainties related to tariffs and reshoring policies, expanded investment in AI data centers is believed to have driven demand. Meanwhile, imports of ICT products rose 2.7% on year to $12.7 billion, marking a record trade surplus of nearly $12.7 billion. Both ICT exports and the trade surplus logged their highest levels since records began. Ian-jin, Arirang News.
Meanwhile, in Australia, 2 armed attackers opened fire at a Hanukkah celebration on a beach in Sydney this past Sunday, killing more than a dozen people. Our Park Chun-han reports.
Multiple shots were fired at Australia's Bondi Beach on Sunday, where hundreds of people from the Jewish community were gathered for the start of the 8-day Hanukkah festival. The authorities said the shooting claimed at least 16 people's lives and injured more than 40 others. The victims' ages ranged from 10 to 87 years old. Police identified the shooters as a father and son, with the father having 6 firearms licensed to him. The 50-year-old father was shot dead by police at the scene, while his 24-year-old son was quickly wounded and is now hospitalized. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese labeled the attack as an apparent act of anti-Semitism and terrorism.
Today, all Australians wrap our arms around them and say, we stand with you. We will do whatever is necessary to stamp out anti-Semitism. It is a scourge and we will eradicate it together.
Global leaders from the US, UK, France, and many other countries raised concerns and condemned the horrible incident. Shocked by the tragic attack at Bondi Beach, European Union Commission President Ursula von der Leyen said, quote, "I send my heartfelt condolences to the families and loved ones of the victims. Europe stands with Australia and Jewish communities everywhere. We are united against violence, anti-Semitism, and hatred." The tragedy marks Australia's worst shooting in 29 years, in a country well known for imposing strict gun laws. Following the attack, major cities around the world, including New York, Berlin, and London, stepped up security around Hanukkah events. Park Chun-han, Arirang News.
Advances in science directly affect the conservation and, in some cases, the restoration of historical artifacts. And for a visual understanding of this reality, there are a few related exhibitions currently underway. Our Cha Yun-kyung files this report.
This is the appointment document from 1690, when the 20th king of the Joseon dynasty, Gyeongjong, was invested as crown prince. The backing that had been added to the original was replaced with mulberry paper and the faded writing carefully restored. This is a jade-beaded curtain from the imperial household of the Korean Empire that is currently undergoing conservation treatment. The stringing method for the beads is intricate, and the key issue is how to restore the old threads.
Since the silk fibers are in a less deteriorated condition than the hemp fibers, the threads can be preserved. The question we are considering is to what extent we should retain these original threads during the conservation process.
At the special exhibition organized by the National Palace Museum of Korea, visitors can see both the actual conservation process and the restored artifacts together. The exhibition also includes a section that provides an overview of the history of conservation science. Korea's cultural heritage conservation work began in the mid-1970s at the National Museum of Korea, starting with basic techniques such as microscopic examination and X-ray imaging.
Conservation science in Korea began in 1976 with nothing more than a single toothpick. Since then, advanced technologies such as CT scanning have been used to reveal the structures, internal composition, materials, and various hidden aspects of our cultural heritages.
The National Museum of Korea will hold a special exhibition, Conservation Science, A New Beginning, A Shared Future, showing the history of conservation science until June next year. The National Palace Museum of Korea will hold a special exhibition, Reborn, connecting time through conservation science, until February next year, elaborating on restored artifacts. Cha Yoon-gyo, Arirang News.
Ensuring accessibility is essential to further promoting a place of prominence, and this is precisely what relevant authorities are seeking to ensure for Namsan Mountain here in Seoul, especially following its featuring in Netflix's animation K-pop Demon Hunters. Our Lee Soo-jin explains.
The globally popular animated movie K-pop Demon Hunters features Namsan Mountain, a famous landmark in Seoul. Riding the wave of the movie's craze, people from around the world have been visiting the site, but limited accessibility and long waits for the cable car have been the cause of frequent complaints. This is because a single company has held exclusive rights to operate just two 48-passenger cable cars. This has become such a serious issue that even the government has stepped in to criticize it.
Despite the surge in tourists driven by the popularity of the movie, complaints about the quality of the Namsan cable car service continue. The root of the problem lies in a preferential business license granted in 1961 that has remained in place for more than 60 years.
To solve the problem, the Seoul metropolitan government is moving forward with a new gondola system using 25 10-passenger cabins capable of transporting more than 2,000 people per hour. With this system, wheelchair users and parents with strollers will be able to travel from Myeongdong Station to the top of Namsan Mountain in just 5 minutes. The city aims to complete the project by 2027, but the outcome of the first court ruling on December 19th, which was filed by the company holding the monopoly, remains a key issue.
If we win, construction starts right away, and even if we lose, a decree revision will still allow the gondola project, so I urge the government to proceed with the revision.
Along with this, a 360-degree observatory will be built at the summit of Namsan Mountain, allowing visitors to look out over the city in every direction. The city plans to revitalize Namsan Mountain into a world-class landmark that goes beyond just representing Seoul. Lee Soo-jin, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. In Berlin, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky has signaled a major diplomatic shift as Ukraine and the United States held talks aimed at ending the war with Russia. Zelensky said Ukraine is ready to drop its bid to join NATO in exchange for Western security guarantees on Sunday, but rejected U.S. proposals to give up Ukrainian territory. Zelensky met with U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff and Presidential Advisor Jared Kushner alongside German Chancellor Friedrich Merz. The Ukrainian leader said any security guarantees must be legally binding and approved by the U.S. Congress, calling the NATO concession a compromise to prevent further Russian aggression. Russia has demanded that Ukraine abandons its NATO ambitions as part of any peace deal. In the United States, one of the top contenders for the Federal Reserve Chair, Kevin Hassett, has pushed back against concerns over political pressure on the Fed. Hassett said on Sunday that if he becomes chair, President Donald Trump would carry, quote, no weight in the Fed's interest rate decisions. Hassett added the Federal Open Market Committee sets rates by vote, not the president, stressing that the Fed operates independently. Trump has said his pick to replace Fed Chair Jerome Powell, whose term ends in May, is down to the two Kevins, Kevin Hassett and former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh. In India, a tour appearance in Kolkata by football star Lionel Messi ended in crowd chaos. Fans at Salt Lake Stadium on Saturday ripped up seats, threw objects, and entered the field after Messi stayed for about 20 minutes at the ticketed event, far shorter than what many fans had expected. Videos showed supporters climbing fences and hurling debris as security struggled to regain control. Police later detained the event's chief organizer, and West Bengal Chief Minister Mamata Banerjee apologized to Messi and ordered an investigation into crowd management. Officials pledged refunds for ticket holders. Jobs website Glassdoor has named the term, quote, fatigue as its word of the year for 2025. It cited widespread exhaustion across the workforce. The platform recorded a 41% surge in mentions as workers flagged politics, economic uncertainty, stagflation, and AI disruption as major stress drivers. Chu Ji-hyun, Arirang News.
The snow from the weekend has not fully melted yet, leaving many icy roads. A brief cold snap hit us again this morning. Seoul plunged to minus 3.5 degrees Celsius this morning, about 2 degrees lower than yesterday. However, the air warmed up quickly during the day. No severe cold spells are expected this week. Temperatures will climb back to above freezing tomorrow morning, and daytime temperatures will move up to around 8 degrees, which will be milder than the average for this time of year. Seoul will start off at 3 degrees tomorrow with Chuncheon and Gyeongju at minus 2 degrees. Daily highs will move up to double digits in most areas with Daejeon and Daegu at 12 degrees, Busan at 14 degrees. Tomorrow, about 1 centimeter of snow is forecast around inland and mountainous areas of Gangwon-do province, and there will be some light rain in northern parts of Gyeonggi-do and Chungcheongbuk-do provinces. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
Those are the headlines at the start here in South Korea. Coming up right after this break is our daily panel session, so do stay with us.